I wanted to briefly mention to people, this is an observation I've had. I met you, I think, in 1988 when I was a punk writer at Saturday Night Live.
SNL, yeah. You were part of the Boiler Room Boys, I called you, yeah.
Yeah,
you had a room with Smigel,
Greg Daniels, Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk, and you, yeah.
Yeah, and we...
you killed, guys. There were some, I think, a couple of shows I did. You guys got like 3 pieces on the air.
Yeah, we did. It was a good time, and I remembered always being really excited when you showed up. But you've proven a theory that I had. I noticed it. I think you were one of the first people. That was my first big gig in television, and I remembered every time that you would host, you would stay up practically all night with the writers. I remember at one point walking through the conference room at night at like 3 a.m, and you were lying down on the conference table trying to compose a sketch. Now, everybody else would dip in and dip out and try and hear what everyone was up to, and then they'd go off to dinner with Lauren, and then maybe they'd come back for a little bit. You were alone in your dedication to making it a great show, more so than any host while I was there. And I have since told people that you're an example. I think Bruce Springsteen's an example. There's certain people I think of where it's not an accident, but man, I couldn't believe how hard you worked, and I don't know if you still do that.
Well, it's a great hang. I mean, I was just trying to get a hang, man. You laugh your head off, when you're there, and there is some awfully good ideas, but part of it is I couldn't believe I was there. I mean, I'm in the world famous 17th floor with a conference room and the whole bit. I wanted to soak that up. That was. Hey, Lauren's a fascinating guy, but after a while, I don't need more Bob Hope stories at dinner. I love to compare notes with him as much as anybody else, but eventually, the same Jack Benny anecdote plays itself.
My favorite game with Lauren is which Paul is he talking about? Is it Simon or McCartney? And so I'd literally play this game myself, where I'd be with him, and he'd go, Paul called, and I'd go, okay, that could go either way, and he's going to come by, and he might bring his guitar, and I'd be like, that doesn't help, that doesn't get me out of it, and then say, and he's still kind of angry at his partner, and I'm like, doesn't help.
Still, you haven't had the qualifier yet. There.
Yeah, and doesn't really want to talk that much about the '60s, although he'll play that stuff still, but he wants to do the later stuff. Still can't do it. I'm going to see him at the Hamptons. Still won't do it. And I think I've been through 45 different combination locks. It's like opening that box in the Da Vinci Code where it's like, no, this doesn't get me there. I still don't know.
How much do you sort of like relive in the same way like Ernie Banks relives, ball games at Wrigley Field regarding SNL? I mean, you were there for a substantial amount of time. Every era of SNL is historic in its own way.
I was there at a very fortuitous time because I was there with the, Lovitz, Dana Carvey, Kevin Nealon, Jan Hooks,
Nora Dunn.
Nora Dunn, just great cast. But then Mike Myers showed up while I was there. Chris Rock showed up while I was there. Adam Sandler showed up while I was there. So it really was this golden time to be on Saturday Night Live. But I have to tell you, great memories, but also almost PTSD.
Well, yeah, a lot of nervous breakdowns, a lot of Machiavellian stabs in the back, a lot of disappointments, a lot of how did this happen?
Yeah. I used to wander down to 6A, which unbeknownst to me would later become my studio. At the time, it was Dave's studio.
Wow, yeah.
And I would sit behind, there was a cloth that they draped over Dave's desk, which ended up being right where my desk was for 16 years. And I would sit behind that desk and try and write sometimes behind his desk on the late night, on the Late Night with David Letterman studio. And also, 2 of my moments of absolute fear were on camera, and they were with you.
Ooh.
One was one of the first big things I did on TV was a sketch where you did a monologue about how people say I'm the nicest guy in the world, but I'm really not. It's just, it's ridiculous. It's not true. And I'm tired of this. Tom Hanks is the nicest guy in the world. It's just not true. Now, if you'll excuse me a minute, and then you walk off and the camera follows you live, and do you remember this? You perform all these miracles. You're Christ-like.
You had the line, "Stay away from this horse, Mr. Hanks. He bites." And I pet him and say, "No, he's just a misunderstood creature."
Yes. Like so I am waiting, and this is live, and you have no idea what it's like. I mean, you do, but I'm talking to people listening to this podcast. The fear of you're a punk kid, and at some point, Tom Hanks is going to come by at the opening of the show, which at the time is watched by,
8 billion people.
8 billion people
live.
And Tom Hanks is going to come by, and my job was to stand there holding the horse. And then my line was, you go, look at that guy. And I go, oh, don't touch him, Mr. Hanks. That horse bites everyone. And you go, nonsense. He's just a misunderstood creature. And you pet him. And I go, wow. So you're coming, and I just keep repeating my line. And of course, I'm doing the thing we all do when we're in our heads too much. Don't bite that horse, Hanks. No, don't Tom the Hanks. Wait, don't bite that. And while I'm trying to do it, do you know who the musical guest was that week? Of course you don't.
Aerosmith?
It was a newly solo Keith Richards.
Oh my God, with the expensive winos. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, and Keith Richards was at the Kraft's food service table next to me, wearing pixie boots. And he chooses that time while you're walking towards me. You have about 4 interactions that you have to have before you get to me. And he goes, horses, right? Horses. And I'm just going like, what? And of course, I'd love to talk to Keith Richards, but not now. And he went, horses, when you think about it, they're the ones that really brought us through civilization. Without horses, and it was everything. He was explaining how man did it literally on the backs of horses, and he thought that I was the guy who owned the horse. And I almost said to him, "Shut the fuck up, Keith Richards. And your idea is bullshit. Tom Hanks is on his way, and I've got shit to do." So I said my line, and the other one was the first Five Timers Club sketch.
Oh, that was a biggie,
I'm Sean, and you come in the door, and I'm supposed to put a robe on you, and I'll never forget, you come in the door, and all I have to do, you go, "Hello, Sean," and I go, "Mr. Hanks," is take a silk robe and put it on you. First, silk robe catches on, and you can see it a little bit.
This happens online. Yeah, happens on the show.
You can see it. I'm having a second, and it's just a millisecond, but for me, I saw my entire life flash before my eyes, because I thought, if I can't get this jacket off, I'm dead. I'm dead forever. But I get it off, and then I go to put it on you, and one of the sleeves catches.
Was inside out. Yeah.
You remember this, and you've probably been angry about it ever since.
No, I never saw it after it aired, so I never bothered looking at it. But you are describing something that everybody goes through. I've worked with the greatest actors and actresses in ever, and everybody starts mumbling to themselves their lines over and over again and paces around back and forth. Meryl, Paul Newman, everybody who is great, you see them at some point just pacing around in the corner of a soundstage going, "We're going to have to get out of here right now. We're going to have to get out of here right now. We have to get out of here right. We have to get out." They all